Hey everyone, this is Cody,
And Brianna.
and we are back with part 2 of reviewing The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And first part, as you know, we reviewed the actual product, the Blu-Ray, and now we're going to review the film. Ah yes, the film. That one cool afternoon in the theater. I'd been anticipating this film, we both have. We were sitting in the theater. After those previews finally were over, we were glorified with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And did it live up to our expectations?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it did. More than any movie I think I've ever watched. This movie is absolutely incredible. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I give this movie, and I'm going to back up my reasons why, but I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. And Brianna, what do you give this film?
I give it a 10 out of 10. All 10 gleaming stars.
Oh yeah, because this deserved every star it got. And it was actually not received well at all by hardly anyone. In fact, they think it's crap. But you know what? I don't, and you don't either, do you, Brianna?
No, I don't think it's crap.
Nope. So, we're going to go ahead and start this review and tell you why we don't think it's crap. And you can agree, disagree, or whatever you want to do, because everyone has an opinion. And your opinion does matter, actually, because it's interesting to see what everyone thinks about this film, and any film for that matter. Yeah, so The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was, without a doubt, a lot better than the first one. I'm actually going to say that. And this is coming from a guy who actually loves the first one. I loved The Amazing Spider-Man.
And you love Lizard.
And yeah, actually, and as a matter of fact, Lizard is my favorite Spider-Man villain. He was even before I watched this movie. So, and I loved how they had him in the first one. But you know what? The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was even better. There's something about it, and we're going to get into what it is about it that makes us both like it. It deserves every piece of glory that it gets, because, you know, it doesn't get much. You know, unfortunately, this movie was received very low, as some of you probably already know. The critics, you know, didn't like it at all. Hardly any. I don't even think it did that great at the box office.
It made a profit. I mean,
it made a profit, but it wasn't
like
as they would have expected. And it, you know, there were, you know, I can see why people didn't like it, and I can see what the complaints were, but, you know, me personally, I couldn't care enough. The movie was so good, I couldn't care about the complaints, because one of the complaints was, and I am going to go ahead and tell you that, as if for some reason you didn't watch part 1, this video is going to have a lot of spoilers, like major
spoilers.
Yeah, like gonna probably give away the plot if you don't know it, or if you haven't already seen it. So, you know, if you haven't seen this movie, don't watch this until after you've watched the movie. So, there's your warning. We were nice enough to do that.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna do this without any, you know, having to worry about what to say, because now we have just the time to say whatever we want to say about this movie, and I honestly can only say good about this movie. What about you, Brianna?
I mean, there's no plot holes. I mean, it's like the movie to have on Blu-ray. It's amazing, and it's just they actually can act, and there's just a story. I mean, that's what this is based on. Like all the layers and layers of context, and just, you know, between the lines, and it's like a lot of like, well, what did you think about? You know, like you actually makes you think, and
it does make you think, and you know, I love how the cast is. It's not just who's famous, it's basically who can act. And sadly, a lot of the famous ones can't act that well. In this movie, they can. And, you know, yeah, Emma Stone's famous, and of course Jamie Foxx is famous, and Andrew Garfield, I don't really know much about him, but if he wasn't famous before, he sure is now. Because he is an amazing Spider-Man. He is the Amazing Spider-Man, and I think he is far better than Tobey Maguire.
yeah.
I can't tell you how irritated I got with Tobey Maguire whining all the time, hating to be Spider-Man. That is not the case in this movie. He is happy to be Spider-Man, and he really shows you how fun it is to be Spider-Man. He's freaking Spider-Man! The real reaction would not to be crying all the time. It would be, holy crap, look what I can do. And The Amazing Spider-Man does that. He really shows how awesome it is to be Spider-Man. He's the hero. He's the hero of the show. He's got everything that Well, he does everything a spider can. I mean, that's just exactly what he can do, and he really shows that well. And the first one you didn't really see it that much because he just gotten it, and he was probably a little scared. He was confused. What's going on?
Timid.
I just got bit by a spider. I mean, usually that's not a good thing. Usually you think of brown recluse, black widow. That's bad.
Yeah, like am I gonna die?
And when you hear radioactive spider, you think I'm a dead man. That's not the case for Peter Parker. That was what was really awesome, and he showed how excited he was to become Spider-Man. And I just love his character. He's not this sad sap all the time. And even when he is sad, when there's a reason to be sad, he doesn't.
He turns to it.
He does. He turns to it, and he reacts like an actual human being would react. Because I know the main theme of this movie, in particular, Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, is time and grief and coping with that grief and
moving on.
And
but not without them. But...
And I know a lot of us, have some real experience with that when we lose a loved one. And this movie really, really speaks to us. And I personally had something bad happen where I lost someone I loved this year, and this movie actually helped me a lot to cope with it because it was practically speaking to me, and not a lot of films have done that, to me in the past, and this really did. I mean, this was like therapy almost. And another thing about it is that the action sequences are therapy in themselves. They are gorgeous, and they are just exciting, energetic, and there's just there's nothing I can say bad about this film from the moment it started, which, Brent, I know you said you really liked the opening plane sequence.
Yeah, it's where they're trying to get away, and it shows you what happens. It's like a flashback, but it shows you what happens after they leave Peter with his uncle and aunt. And there's just this intense fight scene, and, the mom gets shot and she dies, and, but he wasn't there to see it. And it kind of like later on in the movie, it foils what happens with Gwen. He didn't get to hold her hand. There's no goodbye.
Gwen's death at the end of the film was definitely the big scene. It was leading up, and of course fans of the comics knew it was going to happen, but I didn't. I knew it was going to happen, and I mean, I read the comics and I knew she died, but I didn't know it was going to be this soon. I assumed she'd probably go on to The Amazing Spider-Man 3, but that's not the case, and I think that's another problem, is people said it felt rushed, she's dead already, but that's not really a problem. The good thing is that Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone and Spider-Man and Gwen, they have so much chemistry in the smallest amount of screen time. It's like you don't have to really sit and watch them for 30 minutes to finally like them. You like them from the very, very beginning of the first film, and all that carries on into the second one and even expands. The chemistry between them is just, I've never seen it in film history at all, and I've definitely never seen it in a superhero film. And this movie really captures that. It just, it's like you like these characters, you kind of begin to love them. You think they're, they feel part of you. You feel you want to see them succeed, and the same can be said for Electro and Harry Osborn and the Green Goblin. They have reasons to feel anger and bitterness, and you see that. And I guess the only one that's kind of unjustified is the Rhino, played by Paul Giamatti, and that was, like the senseless, just ruthless criminal rampaging through the streets of New York.
No reason.
He, at the end of the film, it's leading up to the Sinister Six. He's a part of the Sinister Six. He's the first one to go out, and he makes an appearance the first of the film not as the Rhino, and then at the end as the Rhino. So, believe it or not, there is some character development in the Rhino and Paul Giamatti.
He does go on a rampage, going crazy through the streets on that huge pickup truck thing. So I mean, he is kind of like a Rhino.
Exactly.
Attacking the jungle of New York.
And as far as Jamie Foxx's performance as Max Dillon and Electro, spot on, 100% amazing. I mean, he just did a wonderful job as Electro, and I love how, a lot of people are saying, it's so corny how he made his voice deep. Well,
I can feel it in the walls.
Unlike how corny Batman's voice is, this actually has a reason why. If you watch the special features, he says that, it makes sense because all the electricity within his body has burnt his vocal cords. And that is so creative to actually have an actor do that. And his voice was creepy. His voice was awesome. And Jamie Foxx did a wonderful job. And when I mentioned creepy, how can we forget the Green Goblin, played by Dane DeHaan, who also was, of course, Harry Osborn, who turned into the Green Goblin. Very melancholic. He really brings the melancholy into the film. Also, that's not counting Gwen's death
Yeah.
and the loss. That's very sad. It's very depressing too, but it's a good depressing. It's depressing that this movie actually makes you feel, and Harry's Dane DeHaan's performance as Harry did just that. I mean, very, very depressing. And I know that sounds like, well, what? But no, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
This movie makes you feel like I felt sorry for him. I wanted him to succeed. He didn't want to die.
He didn't want to live a long, horrible, suffering life either. He just
Like his
wanted
father,
to get
yeah.
better or die. Just pick one and then just have an answer.
And this film, that's why this film is 10 out of 10 for me. And Brienne, I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, it's 10 out of 10 for me too. It's like Scream 4. Just can't stop watching over and over
The
again.
best Spider-Man film to date. And I guess that wraps up this review. Thank you for watching part 1 and part 2. If you haven't seen it, hopefully you haven't watched this. But have a nice day, and thank you for watching.
Adios.